one of the things, again, as an accountant, and again, I sat in boardrooms with like 12 to 20 people, and we were making business decisions, right? So there are generally accepted accounting principles where you can make business decisions and you could push off expenses, which makes earnings look better. You could bring stuff forward. You can bring revenue forward. Let's just take an example of a car company. Someone we might know. You sell a car, let's say you're selling cars for the last 3 years for 50 grand.
Yep.
Inside the bill of materials, you have a line item that says, I don't know, full self-driving, 5 grand, but it's in beta. So generally accepted accounting principles, because you can only accept revenue for stuff that's out, you can only recognize 45 million or 45 grand of every car sold. And then it's 5,000 just builds over time. Every car.
Yep.
And then you get into a bad quarter. You push some button on some software, it shoots out to the world. Suddenly it's live for everyone. Guess what happens? You get this one-time
I don't know what company you're talking about. I don't.
Oh, I have no idea. No idea. This one-time windfall of every car sold for the last 3 years times 5 shows up as top-line revenue. Boom.
It's an interesting one on that company, and not to beat him up or whatever, but Warren Buffett being a big owner of, I believe it's called BDC.
Something like that. Chinese.
Yeah.
BIO, BDC, whatever.
Something like that. It's 3 letters that references a Chinese electric car maker, and they are actually increasing prices right now. So they're seeing margins widen, and their
BYD,
that's what it is. Price pressure higher, whereas Tesla's claiming on the other end that they have to cut because the market demand's not there. And so again, I'm not necessarily beating them up, but at the same time, you're saying, hey, demand's not there. It is there for the right car at the right purchase price, because you're actually able to see price increases at a BYD.
Yeah, but again, these are just things that you could do in generally accepted accounting principles. Is again, let's just assume you're selling more than you expect, and gap. You don't. Again, I was in the rooms, right? You're selling more cars or computers or phones or whatever widget it is, and you don't want to have expectations go up. So you just create some line item that's not in public. You take some sliver, you create an accrual, on your balance sheet that just sits there, and it's a freaking rainy day fund.
Yep.
So whenever you have a bad quarter, you go, oh, you know what? We just released that to the public. Let me throw some of that balance sheet to the income statement.
And you know what? Warren Buffett actually talked about that in this year's letter as well. He talked about it being criminal.
Oh yeah, it's good. Let's go to banks. Something I told people right when the pandemic happened is I said, watch. Banks are going to reserve for bad debt, and I suspect they will over-reserve.
Yep.
Again, generally accepted principle. They're going to go into a horrible environment, tell scary stories. They're going to take billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in reserves for bad debt. Sometime in the future, they will start rolling that off because they will absolutely over-reserve.
And you know what? You know why they were able to do that is because simultaneously, as they took this money off their balance sheet and put it over here for that rainy day fund, they were also getting the injection of all the stimulus money that were coming in via people to fill that gap. And all of a sudden, it looks like they haven't missed a beat because that stimulus money.
And they have this over here.
And they have it over. And mind you, net interest margins at that point were really wide because they were paying 0.00001% on savings account deposits, and they were lending it out on the other end.
Yeah. So again, as I called for right when it happened, about 18 months later, you saw JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and all of them. Oh, we didn't need to use all of that. Here's $2 billion back, and it all shows up, as income. So it's wild to think about.